Now let's deal with what's going on overseas today. Ukraine's president, Petro Poroshenko, he says Russians have entered Ukraine to fight alongside homegrown Russian separatists. Fox News reports that Russian tanks and armoured vehicles have rolled in. Poroshenko has cancelled his trip to Turkey, called an emergency meeting of his Security Council. And where is President Obama? Embarking on a weekend of fundraisers from New York to Rhode Island. Here's Senator John Barrasso joining us from Washington, D.C. What do you make of this, Senator?
Well, we ought to call it what it is, Stuart. It is an invasion by Russia into Ukraine. There are 1,000 soldiers there. There are tanks. Some paratroopers have been captured. It is a direct invasion. It is distressing, but it's not surprising. This has been going on now for some period of time. First with the Russians giving aid and arms to the separatists, and now going further with a direct invasion. Well, and the United States has options, and they have chosen not to take the right steps.
Senator, that's dramatic stuff that you've just outlined, but the president leaves for the entire holiday weekend to raise money. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's a mistake. I think that we ought to be focused on helping those in the Ukraine with arms. We ought to be helping with additional sanctions, stronger sanctions on sections of the economy, asset freezing, and then additionally, we ought to be undercutting Vladimir Putin with what we have in the United States, is significant amounts of energy, which is needed, and Putin uses energy as a weapon. We have legislation that I've introduced to allow us as the United States to export more LNG, liquefied natural gas, to the Ukraine and to our NATO allies who are desperately asking for our help.
You just have to wonder if the president's golfing and his fundraising encourages foreign tyrants to show their muscle and to stir things up a little bit. You have to ask whether what the president does encourages these foreigners. But I want to move on real fast, Senator, because I'm limited time here. We've got ISIS, as you know, solidifying into an organized state. And there's a second Minnesota man, an American passport holder, who's been killed fighting for the terrorists in Syria. My question to you, Senator, is, would you support an all-out campaign to kill, not just contain ISIS, but to kill it? And do you think President Obama should go to Congress to get the authority to do that?
The president, one, needs to outline and articulate clearly the threat that we face in America from this dangerous, deadly, bloodthirsty group who is targeting America. The killing of James Foley the video of that was entitled "A Message to America." ISIS is committed to coming after America. This is an incredible threat. Even the Secretary of Defense called it an imminent threat. But others in the administration talk about containing rather than crushing. Some talk about degrading rather than destroying. I think the president needs to lay out his plan, the level of the threat, and his strategy, which must meet that threat.
Senator,
and we are not at that point yet.
I've lived in America for 40 years. You have to go all the way back to the Carter years, late 1970s, to find the feeling among the public that we are impotent. And that's the way I think America feels now. Would you agree with that, sir?
Well, I agree that our friends across the world don't trust us. Our enemies across the world don't fear us. And it's because, I believe, of the message being sent out to the President of the United States that America is not going to be the international force that it's been in the past. When you continue to send out that sort of a message, that emboldens our enemies. And we're seeing that. We're seeing it in North Korea. We're seeing it in Syria. We've seen it with ISIS. We're seeing it also with Russia. This is across the globe.
Senator
that
John
our enemies
Barrasso,
are emboldened.
Senator, thanks very much for joining us. Short on time, but we always appreciate you being with us. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Stuart. Thanks for having me.